Ever wondered how to build an MVP? Well, you're not alone. You see, an MVP, or minimum viable product, is a fundamental concept in the startup world. It's a bare-bones version of a product, designed to validate a business idea with as few resources as possible. This process helps entrepreneurs avoid costly mistakes, ensuring the idea has market potential before scaling up. It's like dipping your toes into the water before taking the plunge. Now that we've got a handle on what an MVP is, how do we go about creating one? First things first, we need an idea to validate. But where do we start? The answer is market research. Unearth the needs, wants, and pain points of your potential customers. This will help you gauge the potential of your idea. But how do we validate an idea? There are a few strategies to consider. Surveys and interviews can offer direct insight into what your customers are looking for. They can reveal if your idea resonates with their needs. Another strategy is competitor analysis. This involves studying businesses that offer similar products or services. Understand their strengths, weaknesses, and gaps in the market that your idea could potentially fill. Remember, the goal is not just to validate your idea, but to ensure there's a market need for your product. An idea without a market is like a ship without a sea. Once we've validated our idea, it's time to move on to the next stage, defining the MVP. With our idea validated, we now need to define our MVP. The MVP, or minimum viable product, is the simplest form of your product that still effectively solves the problem. It's not about creating a product with all the bells and whistles, but rather about focusing on the absolute essentials. So how do we identify these core features? Start by listing all the potential features of your product. Then ask yourself, if you were to remove each feature one by one, which one would make the product fail at its purpose? That feature, my friends, is your core feature. Remember, the MVP shouldn't be a half-baked product. It should be a fully functioning product with one key feature or functionality. It's about doing one thing, but doing it exceptionally well. Now that we've defined our MVP, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty, designing and building it. We're now ready to design and build our MVP. This is where our idea begins to take on a tangible form. Designing the user interface and experience is a critical step. The goal is to make sure that our product is intuitive, user-friendly, and visually appealing. After all, the user experience is paramount. Building the product is the next step. This can be done in-house or outsourced, depending on your resources and expertise. If you have a team of skilled developers, you may opt to build it in-house. However, if you're a non-technical founder, outsourcing could be a better option. There are many talented freelancers and agencies out there who can turn your vision into reality. But remember, building a product is not a one-time event, it's an iterative process. This means that we build a basic version first, then, based on user feedback and data, we continually refine and improve it. The product you launch will not be the final version, it will be the first of many versions. It's like sculpting from a block of marble. You start with a rough shape and then gradually refine it, chipping away what's unnecessary and polishing what remains until you have something beautiful and functional. With our MVP designed and built, it's time for the final stage, testing and launch. We're now on to the final stage, testing and launch. This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. After all the brainstorming, designing, and building, it's time to see how your minimum viable product performs in the real world. Testing with actual users is crucial. It uncovers issues you might not have anticipated and gives you a chance to rectify them. Listen to your users, gather their feedback, and don't be afraid to make necessary adjustments. Remember, an MVP is not a finished product, but a learning tool. Now let's talk about the launch. It's not enough to simply release your MVP into the wild. You need to evaluate its performance. How many users are engaging with your product? What's their feedback? Use this data to refine your MVP and make it even better. And there you have it, a step-by-step guide to building an MVP. That wraps up our guide on building an MVP. Remember, validating your idea, defining, designing, building, and testing your MVP are key steps in your startup journey. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and here's to your startup success.